Hello friends, it is Danny. Welcome back to another video. It has been a bajillion years since I filmed a video last, but we're here, we're doing it, and today I am just gonna talk to you about something because I have just finished a book and I have a lot of feelings about it and I want to talk about it. But I don't have time to set up the big fancy camera and my bookshelves are a mess. So we're doing this vlog style. But I need to talk about this book because I just finished it. It is incredible and I just need to talk about it. So we are going to be talking about Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazemian. This book, first of all, the cover is stunning. I can't express to you how much I have loved this book. I've read it for the past couple of days. I was listening to the audiobook with reading my ARC copy that I got at the last Frenzy. I didn't know how I was going to feel about this book. And I just can't not talk about it. So, this book is already out if you want to read it, so go read it, please. But basically, it is about these three teens, and that's Reza, that is Art, and that's Judy. They are three teens living in the 1980s to the 90s, and this is in the time of the AIDS epidemic. And it bounces between all 3 points of view, so you get to hear from all three characters. Reza is a kid who comes from Iran with his family after his mother remarries. Art is the only gay kid that is out in his school. And Judy is Art's best friend, who is this really badass plus-size girl with female empowerment, and she's a clothing designer. And then there is Steven, who is Judy's gay uncle, who is currently slowly dying from AIDS. You follow them through the late 80s into the 90s, and it's basically a story of Reza coming to terms with the fact that he is gay and coming to terms with the idea of being an out and proud gay person. You also have Art, who is dealing with the fact that his family has a lot of conditions in order to love him, which love is unconditional, and F his parents for being like that. It's all of them kind of figuring out who they are, how their relationships are going to work together, because both Judy and Art are kind of falling for Reza. And it's just kind of a coming of age story in a time that was really scary for a lot of people. And Reza, not only, as I said, has to come to terms with the fact that he is gay, but he also has to come to terms with the fact that by being gay, there's always that risk where if he's with someone, he could end up getting AIDS. Title is literally because of Madonna, who Reza is obsessed with. And I love Madonna. So I 10 out of 10 support you, Reza, for loving Madonna. It's just such a strong novel. It knows exactly where it was supposed to go. The only thing I didn't like was the ending, but I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm just not. I think it's going to stick with me, and I think the main reason for that is it just touches on a subject that really isn't talked about a lot in newer LGBTQ books, like that are set in our time. I know it's still an issue, but at the same time, it's not something that was as talked about now as it was back in the 80s. It literally is like a modern day or like a modern book set in the time that automatically makes me think of one of my favorite musicals, which is Rent. It is literally set in the same time. It talks about AIDS. It talks about being out in that community when people really weren't accepted back in that time. And it's only recently where things are becoming more accepted. So I don't know. It literally talks about so many things, and it automatically made me think of Rent. And though it never mentioned Rent, it even had lines in it that made me think of Rent. This is how much it reminded me of Rent. I'm going to read you the last sentence, or the last little bit. Where am I looking? It's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. I'm going to make it not a spoiler. But this is why I think of Rent. Tell your story until it becomes woven into the fabric of our story, meaning the characters. Write about the joys and the pain and every event and every artist that inspires you to dream. Tell your story, because if you don't, it could be wiped out. No one tells our stories for us. And one more thing. If you see an elderly person walking down the street or across from you at a coffee shop, don't look away from them, don't dismiss them, and don't just ask them how they're doing. Ask them where they've been instead, and listen, because there is no future without a past. That is literally a line from Rent. It is literally a song. And every time that line came up in this book, I was like, this is Rent. This is literally Rent. And I don't know. I love this book. I love the characters. I love everything about this book. And I cried and I laughed, and it has so much meaning, and it is one of the best books I have read this year thus far, if not the best. So, if you are looking for something that focuses on LGBTQ plus relationships, but also LGBTQ plus history, this is your book. This is your book. 5 out of 5 stars, would recommend this book. It will be in my top whatever of 2019. I guarantee you that. So thank you so much to Harper for giving me a copy of this. I kind of read it impromptu because the audiobook became available at my library, but I'm so glad I did read it because it probably would have taken me forever to get to it any other way. And now I've read it and I'm just like, oh, I should have read that when I first got it. Please go read this book. You will not regret it. Thank you to Harper. Thank you to Abdi. You are the best. And I will make a new video sometime soon, hopefully, maybe, question mark. Happy reading and writing, friends.